Genesis chapter 10 verses 6 through 14. Genesis chapter 10 verses 6 through 14. BC 2347. And the sons of Ham, Cush and Mizraim and Phut and Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Seba and Havilah and Sapta and Rama and Saptecha. And the sons of Rama, Sheba and Dedan. And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord, wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod the mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel and Erech and Akkad and Calneh in the land of Shinar. Out of that land went forth Ashur, and builded Nineveh and the city Rehoboth and Calah, and reasoned between Nineveh and Calah. The same is a great city. And Mizraim begat Ludim and Anamim and Lehabim and Naphtuhim and Pathrusim and Casluhim, out of whom came Philistim and Caphtorim. That which is observable and improvable in these verses is the account here given of Nimrod. Genesis chapter 10 verses 8 through 10. He is here represented as a great man in his day. He began to be a mighty one in the earth, that is, whereas those that went before him were content to stand upon the same level with their neighbors. And though every man bore rule in his own house, yet no man pretended any further. Nimrod's aspiring mind could not rest here. He was resolved to tower above his neighbors, not only to be eminent among them, but to lord it over them. The same spirit that actuated the giants before the flood, who became mighty men and men of renown. Genesis chapter 6 verse 4, now revived in him. So soon was that tremendous judgment which the pride and tyranny of those mighty men brought upon the world forgotten note. There are some in whom ambition and affectation of dominion seem to be bred in the bone. Such there have been and will be, notwithstanding the wrath of God often revealed from heaven against them. Nothing on this side hell will humble and break the proud spirits of some men. In this, like Lucifer, Isaiah chapter 14 verses 14 through 15. Now, one Nimrod was a great hunter. With this he began, and for this became famous to a proverb. Every great hunter is, in remembrance of him, called a Nimrod. Some think he did good with his hunting, served his country by ridding it of the wild beasts which infested it, and so insinuated himself into the affections of his neighbors, and got to be their prince. Those that exercise authority either are, or at least would be called, benefactors. Luke chapter 22 verse 25. Others think that under pretense of hunting he gathered men under his command, in pursuit of another game he had to play, which was to make himself master of the country, and to bring them into subjection. He was a mighty hunter, that is, he was a violent invader of his neighbors' rights and properties, and a persecutor of innocent men, carrying all before him, and endeavoring to make all his own by force and violence. He thought himself a mighty prince, but before the Lord, that is, in God's account, he was but a mighty hunter. Note: great conquerors are but great hunters. Alexander and Caesar would not make such a figure in scripture history as they do in common history. The former is represented in prophecy, but as a he-goat pushing. Daniel chapter 8 verse 5. Nimrod was a mighty hunter against the Lord. So the Septuagint, that is, he set up idolatry, as Jeroboam did, for the confirming of his usurped dominion, that he might set up a new government. He set up a new religion upon the ruin of the primitive constitution of both. Babel was the mother of harlots. He carried on his oppression and violence in defiance of God himself, daring heaven with his impieties, as if he and his huntsmen could outbrave the Almighty, and were a match for the Lord of hosts and all his armies. As if it were a small thing to weary men, he thinks to weary my God also. Isaiah chapter 7 verse 13. Nimrod was a great ruler. The beginning of his kingdom was Babel. Genesis chapter 10 verse 10. Some way or other, by arts or arms, he got into power, either being chosen to it or forcing his way to it, and so laid the foundations of a monarchy, which was afterwards a head of gold and the terror of the mighty, and bade fair to be universal. It does not appear that he had any right to rule by birth, but either his fitness for government recommended him, as some think, to an election, or by power and policy he advanced gradually, and perhaps insensibly, into the throne. See the antiquity of civil government, and particularly that form of it which lodges the sovereignty in a single person. If Nimrod and his neighbors began, other nations soon learned to incorporate under one head for their common safety and welfare, which, however it began, proved so great a blessing to the world that things were reckoned to go ill indeed when there was no king in Israel. 3. Nimrod was a great builder. Probably he was architect in the building of Babel, and there he began his kingdom. But when his project to rule all the sons of Noah was baffled by the confusion of tongues, out of that land he went forth into Assyria. So the margin reads it, Genesis chapter 10 verse 11, and built Nineveh and the other cities, that having built these cities he might command them and rule over them. Observe, in Nimrod, the nature of ambition. 1. It is boundless, much would have more, and still cries, give, give. 2. It is restless Nimrod, when he had 4 cities under his command, could not be content till he had 4 more. 3. It is expensive Nimrod, will rather be at the charge of rearing cities than not have the honor of ruling them. The spirit of building is the common effect of a spirit of pride. 4. It is daring, and will stick at nothing. Nimrod's name signifies rebellion, which, if indeed he did abuse his power to the oppression of his neighbors, teaches us that tyrants to men are rebels to God, and their rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft.